again. It's Greg Hankins. This time I'm wearing my PeeringDB hat, so I wanted to give you an update on what's going on with PeeringDB. First, starting off with a question, who's heard of PeeringDB in the audience? Raise your hand if you've heard of PeeringDB. Okay. So there's still some people that haven't heard of it. Who's registered with PeeringDB? So some people. So good. So first of all, we'll talk about what PeeringDB is. I'll give you an introduction. There are some important organizational changes that have just happened in the past couple of weeks. I'll tell you about those, and I'll tell you what's coming in PeeringDB 2.0, and I'll give you just some very simple automation examples and things that you can do with PeeringDB 2.0. First of all, what is PeeringDB? PeeringDB is the de facto reference information for peering information on the internet. It's where everyone registers their information, and we have information on networks, exchange points, and facilities where people can peer. So it's very useful for finding contacts and contact information for networks that you're trying to peer with, or if you're trying to find who all is at a particular IXP or who all is located in a particular facility, you can go to PeeringDB and look up this information. And PeeringDB is now required for peering by certain companies like Apple, for example. We just heard in the last presentation, Google also requires that you have a PeeringDB entry. And the reason for this is for automation. Many companies automate their peering configuration and their peering information based on what's in PeeringDB. So it's a very important peering resource that's available on the internet, and that's free. Here's some statistics. There are over 8,000 networks registered from around the world, over 600 exchange points, close to 2,000 facilities, and we also get several registrations from Brazil each week. I'm one of the admins at PeeringDB, so if you've registered in the past couple months, there's a good chance that I give you access to PeeringDB. If you register in the next couple weeks, there's a good chance that I'll handle your ticket for registration. So it's very good that we see more networks registering from Brazil. Wow, and that's the end. Okay. Okay, here's a, I hope you can see this. Here's a network example. This is my AS. This just tells you what you can see in PeeringDB. You can see the contact information, the type of traffic volumes that a network provides, also all the different locations. So in my case, I only peer at DKIX in New York and Frankfurt, but if you were a larger network, you can list all of your locations there. And then here's an IXP exchange point example from PTT here in Brazil. You can see all the contact information and the information for the exchange. You can see all the participants that are at the exchange. And you can see other information like the peering LAN IP addresses and things like that. So very useful information. If you wanted to come peer at this exchange and when we're looking for a particular network to peer with, then you can see if they're a member of this exchange or not. So how do you get access to PeeringDB? The PeeringDB 1.0 is available right now. It's been available for many years at www.peeringdb.com. The beta version is right now available at beta.peeringdb.com. The information is synced from 1.0 to 2.0 every hour. So the primary master database is still 1.0, and then that information is copied over to 2.0. 2.0 has many new features that we'll talk about in the next couple of slides. And we would love for you to start using the beta and start trying it out and giving us feedback on the functionality. Registration is very easy. As I said, it's free. All you do is you just go to this URL. Now one of the problems that we have in particular with information from Brazil is that we use just very basic verification in order to make sure that you're authorized to register a network for the network that you're trying to register. So we just require at a minimum that the company email address and the company name match what's in WHOIS information. So from Brazil, we get a lot of registrations coming from a Gmail address, for example, or where the WHOIS information is mismatched, so the company name is different in WHOIS and what is being requested to register for PeeringDB. So if you're a new registrant, please make sure that these things match so that we can verify the request. Here's a bunch of information on mailing lists and contacts. There are 4 mailing lists for announcements, technical discussion, things like that. There's also ways to reach us, so all support questions should go to support. And then if you'd like to reach the admins, or now if you'd like to become a sponsor, there are contacts for those as well. Let's talk about the organization update. So for many, many years, it was started by one person, started by Richard Steenbergen. I think it was over 10 or maybe even 15 years ago, a long time ago. He didn't realize that this would become such an important reference for the internet. So until now, it was a very informal group that was administering PeeringDB. It runs on donated hardware from different companies. People donate their time to become an administrator. But PeeringDB really needs to have a structured organization in order to maintain operations, do software development, prioritize feature requests, and all those kind of things. And many companies have also offered to donate money to PeeringDB, but because there's no formal organization, there's no way for PeeringDB to accept donations right now. So we had some elections that ended a couple weeks ago, November 30th, and we finally have a new organization and an initial board of directors for PeeringDB. It's going to be a nonprofit organization registered in the United States. So a nonprofit gives PeeringDB certain tax advantages and also allows them to take donations. The first board meeting is actually taking place today, US time. And if you would like to look at all the governance information, you can go to this URL there, find out all about the elections. But the point is that PeeringDB now as an organization can have funding and can actually sign contracts. So this is the big thing that we needed to do before PeeringDB 2.0 could be released. So it's been promised for a long, long time, and I'm excited that we're finally getting there. Let's talk a little bit about the differences between PeeringDB 1 and 2. 1.0, as I mentioned, was written a long, long time ago. It was written using an auto-generated code, some GUI interface to write a web application. No one knows how to maintain the code anymore. It was intended to be a hack, but this hack, you know, as in networking, we say nothing is ever temporary, right? So this tool is intended to be temporary and then grew into something that everyone depends on now. There's lots of issues with the database and the registrations. It's only possible for one administrator to have a network record. So for example, many administrators might have control for different networks. Right now this isn't possible. There's no validation for the data. There's lots of typos. There's no validation. For example, on an IP address, you could put in just some string of characters instead of a real IP address. MySQL is the API that's used, and there's also exposed contact information. So over the years, we've had a lot of problems with spammers taking the information in PeeringDB and then spamming those contacts. PeeringDB 2.0 was completely rewritten in Python. It has a schema that actually validates the data. So if you put in an IP address, it validates to make sure that that's an IP address format. If you put in an email address, it validates to make sure that that's an email address and things like that. The contact info has permissions, so that's great because now if you put your contact information into PeeringDB, you can be assured that only registered users will be able to see that contact information. Everything is also permissioned, and we have multiple levels of editing. So for example, in PeeringDB 1.0, we have another problem where data center and IXP owners can't actually edit their data. So the way to update this right now is to send an email to support, and then we have to go and do that manually. In 2.0, the IXP and the data center will be able to update their records themselves, so that's a great new advantage. And as I said before, you can now have multiple networks that are associated with one account. You can also have the ability to manage your own users and permissions. Right now, if you want to change permissions for a user, it's not possible. You have to send an email to PeeringDB. If you want to reset your password, you have to send an email to PeeringDB. So as you can see, there's a lot of manual interaction with the current version. Everything is now documented. We have all the APIs documented at this URL here. And as I said, many new features are planned after this initial release. It comes out, 2.0 comes out. talk just a little bit about automation and some of the things that you can do. Right now in PeeringDB 1.0, the only operation is a read operation. So you can use MySQL to read PeeringDB, but you can't actually do the full automation that you would like to do. So ideally, you would like to use automation to read from PeeringDB, but also to create or update your information automatically in PeeringDB without having to use the web interface. So this is now possible in PeeringDB 2.0. Every data type is very strictly defined, so each data type has a tag like a net or an org or an IX, and that allows you to do very interesting things just with a simple program like curl. You could get all of the networks by using the first command, or if you wanted to get information on a specific network, you could use that index and then get that information in a machine-readable format from PeeringDB. So this really helps your automation. There's also some libraries that I'll tell you about real quick that have been developed. There's a Python library. Python seems to be a very popular programming language for network people these days, so you hear a lot about Python and things like that. It's an initial release, so we expect more tools to be developed, and then obviously probably more languages, more support for languages will show up eventually. You can get it here, and this is what you can do with it. You can actually create a local copy of PeeringDB. So why would you want to do this? Well, there's a couple reasons. First of all, it's not dependent on the PeeringDB servers being up or being reachable, or even they may be overloaded or something like that. You can download and sync a local copy of PeeringDB to your own server wherever you want. You can add custom things. So, for example, if you want a field in PeeringDB that we don't offer, you can add this to your own version of PeeringDB, so you can customize it based on your requirements. You can also choose any type of different database engine that you like. You may want to use MySQL or Postgres or SQLite or something like that, Couchbase. Whatever you want is supported. So all you do is you install this Python package, and then you configure a local database, and then you can automatically sync it every hour or every day or however often you'd like with the master PeeringDB copy. You can also output different formats. For example, YAML is a very popular machine-readable format these days. You could also output JSON if you would like. So the ability to import and export different fields is very powerful if you have a local copy of PeeringDB. There's also a Django module for PeeringDB. This allows you to easily integrate it into a web framework. It also supports multiple database options. And you can use this, for example, as UnitedIX does. My co-author, Matt Griswold, works at UnitedIX. He wrote a completely automatic interface using PeeringDB and Django where a customer signs up, and then the back end queries PeeringDB, pulls the information, auto-populates IXP manager information, and then generates a route server configuration based on that information. It's all done automatically. There's no manual intervention, and it's very easy and simple to do. There are a couple companies that have contributed to PeeringDB. Apple uses Couchbase, but they haven't released the code to the public yet. Netflix uses a database called Redis, so they have a synchronization module for Redis. If you would like to use that database, you can get it at the URL there. And that was it. That was a quick update for PeeringDB. Any questions or comments?
Só uma informação para os participantes aqui. No site do PTT, nós possuímos um guia, um passo a passo para a configuração de novas assinaturas no PeeringDB, tá? Only comment.
Okay, sorry.
Okay, only for information for all the users.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, yes, and also thank you for PTT, because I know, or PTT-IX, I know that you require PeeringDB registration, so it's very good that you're helping to promote the database. So yes, thank you. So if you haven't registered and you're peering, please go to the registration URL and then register your network.
Bom dia, me chamo Alisson. Quem já tem registro na base 1.0 terá que fazer o cadastro na base 2.0 ou será automático?
Very good question, thank you. The information is synchronized between 1.0 and 2.0 every hour. So if you are registered in 2.0, that information is automatically copied to the new database every hour. So there's no need to re-register.
Muito obrigado.
Yeah, thank you, good question.
Bom, se ninguém mais tendo dúvidas, thank you very much again, Greg.